Hi, guys. My name is Cortland Jacoby. I'm here for Punch Drunk Critics. And today I have the distinct pleasure of talking to Bill Skarsgard, who plays Kane in the new film 9 Days. Bill, how are you doing, first of all?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. I'm in Sweden. It's really hot and humid, and it's unusual, but I guess that's the way the world is heading towards hotter days.
Yeah.
Um, but it's good. Yeah.
Watching 9 Days is such a contemplative and unique viewing experience. How did you feel the first time reading the script?
Yeah, I had a very similar experience to. I had a very similar experience. I mean, I read the script and it was very thought provoking, and I thought there was a very beautiful underlining message to the film. But it was very, abstract in its way of telling this very human story and posing these questions of what what we value in different personalities and why someone should be granted the gift of life over someone else. So reading the script, I thought was incredibly fascinating, and then meeting with Edson, um, we just continued that conversation of what it's trying to say and how it's posing sort of a criticism to the world that we're living in right now. Um, so I just thought it was fascinating, and I, really liked Edson, and I wanted to support his vision in trying to get this movie made. And and yeah, but at the same time, I mean, I read the script and I was like there was so many different versions of this movie. The script is like, you're like, okay, well, so there's a man in the house and there's all these souls and he's interviewing them, and so it was actually I got to see the movie in its final cut and edited in Sundance right before the world went to hell, and I just I was incredibly moved by it, and also incredibly impressed by how Edson took this script, his script and his story, and made it better than I thought it could be. Really, I was very very moved.
What is it like preparing for such an existential movie that obviously examines life's big questions? What sort of like headspace did you have to get in order to play someone as pragmatic as Kane?
Yeah, I mean, the some of the first challenges for me was that you could portray these souls in so many different ways, right? They're very abstract. The setup is so abstract, right? That it's like, okay, or do you want these souls to be portrayed as sort of aliens, and that they walk in and they don't know what they're thinking, or figuring out thoughts for the first time, or hearing words, and like, what is all of that? How does that feel to something that did not know how to speak until the first question is asked to them? Um, so that was like me going like, okay, there's 100 different directions here you can go. And then Edson really wanted the clear vision. He wanted it to be very naturalistic and simple. Which I thought was great when you watch the movie, because it's not like, it's, you can categorize it as so many different ways and different genres, but it doesn't feel like a sci-fi movie per se. It is very very toned down and very human, incredibly human story. Um, so um, so yeah, the first, like, leading up to shooting, the week of rehearsals, it was all about like, okay, what does all of this feel and mean to something, that an entity or spirit or soul that doesn't know what feelings are really until he's or she's feeling them for the first time. And then sort of the stoic or pragmatic nature of Cain was something that all of these characters are sort of archetypes of different personalities that we can recognize in ourselves. I think most people have a little bit of everything in them, so you can go like, oh, that's a little bit like me, and that's a little bit me, and that's a little bit like me, but they're more reduced into some to a core personality maybe. And yeah, and Cain, there's a lot of similarities that I could find in myself and in someone like Cain, but he's reduced to this almost caricature of what that type of personality is. So which in a way makes it sometimes easier, because you're like, okay, this character is reduced to a very specific thing, and then I also wanted him not to just be a caricature, so he felt, which was a conversation that we had, but it's like, okay, when they are these representations of archetypical personalities, but how do you make him more complicated or more nuanced than that? Like, I didn't want him to be reduced to this almost sociopathic, I'll do anything to succeed type of thing. I wanted him to be more nuanced than that, and for the story to be a little bit more complicated, without spoiling how obviously the movie ends. There is this Will, played by Winston Duke. The character is struggling with two personality types, and which one deserves to be born, really. And maybe from his perspective, it's who deserves the curse of being born. And yeah, so making the portraying it that way, and I do think it's a movie that when people go and see it, after walking out of the theaters, you want to have a drink with your friend and talk about it, and some people probably have very different opinions of it, what it was trying to say, how it ended, was it the right ending, was it the wrong ending, and all of that. And the more kind of nuanced and complicated those conversations are getting, I think the better is the movie is for it. So yeah.
The souls who don't get to receive the opportunity to live do get to have one last experience. If you could relive one moment from shooting this film, what would it be?
I don't know if it's a specific moment. Oh, kind of is. Like we shot most of the film in
Utah, right?
the studio. Yeah, in the studio in Salt Lake, and inside of this built stage, which was the inside of the house, and that was like most of the shoot, and most of the shoot was also the candidates with Will. So it was like that was the structure of it, which it is in the film as well. But then the first day that I had that was outside of this confinement was on the Salt Plains, outside of Salt Lake City, which by themselves are just gorgeous. And I'd never been out there before. But they built, the house in the middle of these, vast plains of salt. And the sun was setting, and it was this very, very beautiful, experience with nature, that these characters kind of had at the same time. And we were having that dinner scene that's in the film, where it's the four of us, me and Winston, and Zazie Beetz, and Benedict, and we're sitting there and we're going, and we're the scene itself is very long and complicated, and we all kind of start goofing around and laughing as well in those moments. And I don't know, there was something about that place and sitting with these three wonderful actors, having a good time. That was like, I think, a surprise from Kane's perspective, but it was also kind of a heartfelt moment for me as well.
I love that. Thank you so much for speaking with me. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for checking out the show. If you like what we're laying down, please subscribe to our channel and click the bell to receive notifications for all of our latest stuff.